各位朋友，大家好！欢迎大家今天来参加我们这一场2022 European Study Talk 留学欧洲说明会。那这个活动是由欧洲在台官方单位联合举办。那我们要从2022年的9月一直进行到2023年的2月，整个系列活动都会邀请到了这个超过50多所的欧洲知名的高等教育学院来进行留学欧洲线上说明会。国家包括有德国、英国、法国、荷兰、比利时、瑞士、瑞典、意大利等顶尖欧洲的大学，将要接力的来为你台湾学生的留学欧洲的计划来指点迷津。那除了这个知名的商管学院、资讯学院，更有著名的这个理工、设计、观光、医学科系等知名的院校都会加入。他们将提供你最新的教育制度、申请流程，还有奖学金，以及毕业后在当地工作或创业等最新的资讯。你一定可以收集到你所需要的资讯和听到学长姐们的经验分享，在都要来帮助你为你的准备出国留学申请来做准备。那今晚留学欧洲部署未来的说明会要介绍给你的是世界排名前3的英国剑桥大学，以及在比利时的全英语学程的这个英语授课的课程。英国、比利时是欧洲许多政治经济研究的重心地。今天的说明会要让你强化你未来专业跟人脉，校代以及还有学校的校友都会来解说我们国际学生的这个留学以及职涯之路。那今晚的顺序是7点到7点40分是由我们英国剑桥大学，然后7点50分到8点半是由我们比利时 Flemish 高等教育Study in Flanders 来为我们解说。Tonight at 7 o'clock, we are very happy to have Olivia and later Dr. Wen from the University of Cambridge, 英国剑桥大学。大家一定都很想认识剑桥大学，这所在中古世纪就建立的英国大学，在学术声望以及社会地位等多方面都非常的崇高。剑桥大学的各个学院又都是各自独立作业跟招生，这个学校有31个学院，超过了150多个学系，以及还有它附属的机构所组成。那紧接着待会7点50分是由我们比利时 Flemish 高等教育Study in Flanders 校代会让你来发现到底在比利时荷兰语区的这个18所的高等教育学校里面的英语授课课程怎么样来让你来这个为你的专业为你的未来来做准备。那待会在讲座当中，请你如果有任何的问题，请你务必一定要在我们的 Q&A 的栏位里面打上你的问题。那我们校代在最后这个 Q&A 的时段里面，我们会来进行的回答。Okay, I guess, yeah, let's welcome Olivia and Dr. Wen from the University of Cambridge to tell us about everything about University of Cambridge. Over to you, Olivia.
Thank you ever so much for that warm introduction. It's lovely to be here with you this evening. My name's Olivia and I'm the Regional Manager for Student Recruitment in East Asia at the University of Cambridge. And hopefully this time next year, we'll be talking in person rather than over Zoom. So yeah, really pleased to hear that I'll be able to come out to Taiwan in the not too distant future and hopefully meet some of you guys in person. Dr. Wen is just on her way, so I'll introduce her when she arrives. We're really lucky to have an alumna from Taiwan joining us today to kind of give you her perspective on her experience at the University of Cambridge as well. So what I was kind of hoping to do today then is I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about why you might want to consider Cambridge. We'll go through the application process. I'll hand over to Dr. Wen to talk a little bit about her experiences as well as a student at the University of Cambridge. And then we'll talk a little bit about some opportunities that are coming up over the next couple of weeks for you to find out a little bit more. And then, of course, we'll have lots and lots of time for question and answers as well. So, Dr. Wen, I don't know if you want to just briefly introduce yourself before we get started with the session proper.
Okay. Hi. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see and hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Ming, and I studied PhD in the Department of Zoology at the University of Cambridge. So should I just briefly introduce myself, or
yeah, that would be lovely, and then we can make
later?
a start on the presentation. It's fine. We know who you are, what you've done, so we'll make a start and then we can chat later. So that's great. So in terms of kind of why you might want to consider Cambridge, I do think there's a few things that do make Cambridge stand out as opposed to other universities. So I think the first thing is the academic excellence and expertise. The second would be just the breadth and depth of courses that are on offer. The third would be the prospects that you would have as a Cambridge graduate. The fourth would be the collegiate system. And finally, I think the student life is something that's a real positive as well. So in terms of kind of academic excellence and expertise, obviously Cambridge is a really highly ranked institution. You will already be aware of that. But when you come and join the University of Cambridge, you are guaranteed to be working, learning and interacting with an incredibly diverse and rich academic community. So you'll be learning and working with people who are really at the top of their game, who are really, you know, contributing to the forefront of the knowledge in your particular field. In terms of kind of the makeup of our student body, we have about 9,600 students and 50% of those are international. So you have a breadth of perspectives as well, which contribute to kind of your student experience, but also your academic experience as well. We know that we're highly ranked academically, and we know that if you're coming to do a taught masters as well, that the quality of teaching is going to be incredibly high. And by joining us as a research student, you really will be contributing to the cutting edge research that's coming out of this university. Now, in terms of the courses that we have on offer, I think we are hugely lucky in that we do have over 300 different postgraduate courses available. And this really does represent the areas of specialisation and the breadth of specialisation that our academic staff have within the University of Cambridge. Because of the breadth of courses, it really does guarantee you the ability to be able to, you know, specialise and really hone the skills in the area that you want to do. We'd really encourage you, if you are maybe a master's student, kind of trying to find that niche area that you're maybe kind of looking to specialise in after your bachelor's, to use the course search function on our website, because I think actually you'll be really surprised at the level of specialisation that we are able to offer in some of those courses. Now, we know that as a Cambridge graduate, you're likely to be very sought after, and I know that Ming's going to talk a little bit about what she's gone on to do after her PhD, you know, I think she's a really good example of the types of opportunities that being in Cambridge can afford you. But we know whether or not you're wanting to stay in the academic field or whether or not you're wanting to kind of move into industry, we can support you with finding those opportunities, and you can really kind of utilise either your master's degree or your PhD to sort of propel you into whichever direction you're looking to go to. We have an extremely active careers service within the University of Cambridge, and we have specialist advisors for different areas of industry, but also specialists for postgraduate students, and people who can support you in kind of perfecting that application to a PhD, if that's what you're looking to progress to, or people who can support you in transitioning out into industry. We offer things like one-to-one consultations. We have events actually downstairs in the building that I'm in now. There's actually a law careers fair going on at the moment. And we are able to kind of support you with like writing applications and kind of tailoring applications to certain areas as well. What's incredibly valuable, though, as a Cambridge student is you actually end up with life access to this service. So you can come and do your degree, you can graduate, you can go on to do something, you can kind of realise that the path you took maybe isn't what you want to do long term, and you can actually come back to us and we can support you in that decision-making process and guiding you on kind of what other options might be available to you. Now, one of, I think, the very unique aspects of being a student at Cambridge is what we call the collegiate system. So when you join the University of Cambridge, you not only become a member of your academic department, but you also become a member of one of our colleges. And we have 31 different colleges. And the college is essentially a community of scholars at undergraduate, graduate, and academic staff level, kind of living, socializing, and working together. It's a really great opportunity for you to network and interact with people who are not related to your subject area. And there's a huge kind of breadth of knowledge that comes out of the collegiate community. The colleges will also provide kind of pastoral support and guidance for you as well. And there'll be kind of societies and clubs and things that you can join. And we also kind of are able to provide you with accommodation for the first year of study as well. Ming, I wonder if you'd maybe just mind kind of talking a little about your experience of the colleges at Cambridge and how you found that as a student.
Yeah, so since I studied my PhD in zoology, so I have quite minimal time for my kind of a personal leisure, but I did spend quite a lot of time in college because at the beginning we stay in the accommodation of the college, so we can hang out with our housemates, and we join the MCR events together, and it's quite a lot of fun to kind of stay in college and join these events and make a lot of friends around the world. And also they study their major in different disciplines. So it's really nice to have the life in the colleges.
Great, thank you. And I think that brings us on really nicely to kind of the student life and what you'd actually be able to experience. Obviously, we know that you're coming to kind of pursue your academic interests, and as Ming says, it is a commitment. It is kind of, you know, the equivalent, if not more, of a full-time job. But equally, because of the college system, we do make it really easy for you to be a student here, and we do make it easy for you to kind of settle in, to integrate within the university community. There's a huge amount of things for you to get involved with. And so within your college, Ming mentioned you have the MCR, which is kind of like the community for graduate students within the college, and they will run a kind of a series of events. But you also have access to every single thing that the university has to offer. So if you're particularly interested in sports, or you have a particular kind of interest that you're looking to develop outside of your studies, you can join those societies. And these societies are open to undergraduates, graduates, and members of staff as well. Now, Cambridge is a very, very small city. People kind of think, well, maybe it's not where I want to be. It's not too much going on. But because the university is such a big part of the city, it does have a very vibrant feel about it. You can walk or cycle everywhere, which I think is a real advantage to coming to somewhere like Cambridge, is that the pressure is totally taken off of you, because you know that you can get from one side of the city really quite easily. And we do kind of have all of the facilities that you'd expect from somewhere larger. So we do have a nice range of kind of pubs, bars, and restaurants and things. And we are only 50 minutes by train as well. We have a station which is kind of really well connected as well within Cambridge. So it means things like collaboration, attending conferences as well is facilitated by those transport links as well. Now, in terms of the application process, obviously for individual courses, this may kind of vary a little bit, but I'm going to talk about it quite generally and signpost you in the direction of where you might need to look for further information. So on the screen, you can see a very kind of general overview of the steps you'll need to take. And I'm going to talk through those in a bit more detail so you have an idea of kind of what you're going to need to do and the different things and deadlines that you will need to be aware of. So the first thing, I know this probably sounds very obvious, is that you do really need to choose your course. We do strongly advise that you spend some time researching what we have on offer and really making sure that what we have on offer and what's available to you is actually a good fit and a good match for what you want to be doing. You must make sure that you have checked that you meet our minimum entry requirements. So on the website, you can find a really good drop-down table, which will show you the equivalencies. If you've been studying in Taiwan or if you've been studying somewhere else in the world, you can find whether or not your scores or your predicted grades are likely to meet those. We'd really encourage as well, if you are thinking about doing a PhD, to start thinking about who might be an appropriate supervisor for you. So researching the department, making sure that we have the research expertise to support you through your PhD. We are very, very good at lots of things, but actually it may be the very specific thing that you're looking to do your research in may be better suited to somewhere else in another institution. So it is important that you're identifying whether or not we can support you with your ambitions if you're looking to do a PhD. Now, once you've decided on your course, the next thing that you're going to need to do is really make sure that you are aware of the deadlines that apply to your course. Now, most courses will have two deadlines. They will have one deadline, which is when the course stops receiving applications, and they'll have a second deadline, which is when you need to have applied if you would like to be considered for funding. And often the funding deadline is slightly earlier than the course deadline. So we would strongly advise you that if you are looking to be considered for funding, that you complete your application as soon as possible and that you make sure that you've submitted it well in advance of that first deadline. Even if you're not necessarily thinking about funding, we do advise that you try to submit your application as early as possible, because often the bulk of applications are received by this funding deadline. So you give yourself the greatest chance of being considered appropriately if you make sure that you have adhered to that deadline. I'm going to talk a little bit about funding in more detail, but there may well be some other steps that you need to take for certain scholarship bodies and things. So do make sure you are researching if there's any other external deadlines you perhaps need to be aware of. Now, once you're kind of clear on where the deadlines and all the steps that you need to take, the application process for applying to the University of Cambridge actually takes place on our website. So if you go onto any of our courses, you'll see like an apply now button, and this will take you to create an account for the online application portal. This is kind of an online application form. It's fairly self-explanatory, but there is actually a whole team dedicated to supporting applicants through this process. So if you have any technical difficulties or anything is unclear, you can contact them and they will be straight back in touch with you. If you are applying for a master's degree, which is focused on and the bulk of its teaching is taught, you will have to pay an application fee. And any documents that you do need to upload will also need to be as PDF. So it's a good idea to make sure that you have those ready. Now, an important part of the application process and something that is a good idea to make a start on as soon as possible is identifying appropriate references in support of your application. We ask to see 2 references, so we want these to come from people who can attest to your ability for further study. So if you're currently doing a master's, it's likely to be your master's supervisor. If you're currently doing a bachelor's, some teachers who have known you well throughout your course. It's a good idea to start the conversation early with them about whether or not they would be happy to be your referees, because unfortunately we cannot process your application until the references have been completely received. So do make sure that if you are thinking about applying, you are starting that conversation process with your referees so they know to kind of keep an eye out for those references when they come through. If you're somebody who's perhaps returning to study after having had a period of work, and we do have detailed guidance on the website of who in this scenario would be appropriate reference for you in this case. As part of the application process, we also allow you to indicate a preference as to which college you would like to join. So as I said, really, when you are thinking about postgraduate study, the academic department is, of course, the most important aspect of this, but you may have a preference of joining a particular community. So you can indicate a first or a second choice as part of the application process. About 65% get their first or second choice, but we unfortunately can't guarantee this. However, if your academic department has offered you a place to come and study with us, you are guaranteed to become a member of one of the 31 colleges. It may just not be the college that you chose. If for you really aren't too bothered about which college you end up at, you can do what you call an open application. And this is where you'll just be randomly allocated a college. So it's entirely up to you. The one thing I would say about colleges, and I will talk about this in a little bit more detail, is that some colleges will have funding available for certain courses or for students from certain backgrounds. So this may influence your college choice slightly if this is something that's going to apply to you. Now, once you've kind of completed the application, you've uploaded all your documents, you are then ready to submit your application. There's one quirk of our system, which I still haven't quite managed to work out quite why it is, but if you do want a copy, you must download it from the system before you have submitted it, because you can't download it as a PDF for some reason once it's been submitted. So a top tip, make sure that you have downloaded your application before you hit that submit button. Now, for some courses and some departments, they may well invite you to interview. And likewise, if you're applying to a particular scholarship, they may also ask you to attend an interview. This is nothing to panic about. We're certainly not expecting you to kind of jump on the quickest flight out of Taiwan to come over to the UK. These will all take place virtually, either by telephone or on Skype. So there's no kind of panic. You don't need to be worried about this. Once we've received your application, there's a number of things that we go through when we review your application. I'm going to talk you through those elements as well. If you are successful in being offered a place, we will communicate that to you formally via email. And we primarily base our decisions on academic merit and suitability for the course. So you really should be trying to make sure that it's clear through your application that this is a considered decision and that you are a good fit for the particular course. Sometimes we, of course, do have to consider other factors. So, for example, for PhD study, the availability of supervisors is a factor. We know that this is hugely important for a PhD. So we need to make sure that we do have appropriate supervisors who can support you through this process, which is again why we encourage you to make contact before you submit an application to ensure you aren't wasting an application. Sometimes, of course, we do have to consider capacity on the course. So it may be that we don't have enough places to offer everybody who we think deserves a place. So that's why we do encourage you to apply as early as possible. Now, when we make you an offer, there'll usually be some things that we have to ask you to do before we can confirm your place. So we'll need proof that you have achieved the entry requirements. If you've already completed your degree, that will just be an official transcript, or you'll send that to us once you have got that available to you. We'll need to make sure that you have the funds in place to complete your studies. You'll confirm to us which college you are a member of. We may well ask to see some evidence of your English language qualifications. We'll have to see a passport, and we'll need you to kind of tick that box to say that you have accepted your offer. And you'll receive a deadline by which you need to have completed all of these things. Now, once we've completed all those steps, we are able to confirm your place. Your college will start to get in touch to talk to you about accommodation, and then we can issue what we call the CAS document, which allows you to then go ahead and apply for your visa. So in terms of finances and funding, I know this is often a question that we get asked, so I thought it'd be good to kind of just talk about this and point you in the direction of further information should you need it. Now, when we're kind of talking about the costs that you need to be aware of, we have kind of two aspects that we talk about. The first is the university composition fee, and this is essentially the cost of your tuition, your supervision, student support, and the facilities that you use. We then also have the maintenance, and this is the estimated cost of living during your time at university. So things like accommodation, food, clothes, all of the things that you'll need to kind of maintain your lifestyle whilst you are here. Now, there are a number of funding opportunities that are available. And on our website, there's actually a really good sort of section which is dedicated purely to funding. Within that section, there's actually a search tool that you can use, which allows you to input details about yourself. So the subject you're looking for applying for, your nationality, and this will tell you all of the funding that you are eligible to apply for within the central university. So you can look through all of those opportunities and you can see which ones are the best fit to you. And when you submit your application, by ticking a box, we can consider you for all of those opportunities. What this funding database doesn't cover, however, is any external opportunities. So if you are eligible for any kind of government funding or sort of funding through industry or anything, those won't be brought up by this database. It is only funds that you can apply for that are administered by Cambridge University itself. Now, to give you an idea of kind of the number of students who were funded, in 2020, about 74% of our PhD students had some sort of funding, and 26 students at master's level were awarded funding. We strongly encourage you to do your research. We encourage you to submit your application early if you are considering applying for funding. And we really do encourage you to apply for everything that you are eligible for. It's completely fine for you as a student to hold multiple scholarships that make up the value of your entire university composition fee and your entire maintenance fee. So we really do encourage you to not discard any opportunities that you may well be available to really maximise your chances of securing that. So I'm going to hand over to Ming, who's just going to talk for a couple of minutes about her experience at the University of Cambridge and talk us through her journey and what she's gone on to do, because I think this is an excellent example of some of the opportunities that you may encounter whilst you are at Cambridge. So Ming, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Olivia. So hi, I'm Ming. So I studied PhD in the Department of Zoology. And our department belongs to one of the school of the university, the School of Biological Sciences. And in our department, we use different animal models to study biology. So in my PhD study, I use frog to study the cellular reprogramming. So that means how the cells change their cell identity from one cell type to another cell type. Yeah. So and likewise, I just mentioned that what the life should be in the colleges. Like you can have a lot of activities just around, like a proximity. And also I joined the Taiwanese society, because it's like your belonging of the your heart belonging. So I joined the Cambridge Taiwanese society, and I was the president and secretary for many years during my PhD. And so basically my personal life just kind of doing something in college, and also doing some networking, social activity in my society. And I think overall, this kind of, I would say this is kind of a training for your personal skills. Like you can learn how to socialize with different people, and have the communication ability to talk to people from everywhere. So that's really good experience during the time, and also in Cambridge. And now, because I already graduated many years ago, and so I've done the postdoc afterwards, and I'm now running a startup team that's still now under the University of Cambridge. So so I think for my whole experience during these years, of course there are a lot of struggles and difficulties, because we are in the kind of these kind of a top university, so we are surrounded by so many talented people, and but that's also a good thing, is that you can also meet a lot of talented people and learn a lot from your peers or your colleagues. So I'm really grateful to learn so much academically, and also equip myself with so many personal skills for my career development.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ming.
Thank you.
So in terms of kind of finding out more and kind of opportunities that you have available to learn maybe a bit more about specific courses and departments and things, there's a number of things that I think you might want to be aware of. The first is the website. I know this might seem really, really obvious, but there is a wealth of information available there. So we do encourage you to kind of use that as your first kind of port of call for inquiries. It's kind of essentially the very top level information, but there is kind of quite a lot of detail on things like funding and the application process as well. Within the course profile for each of our courses that we have available, there is an email address listed. There's 2 different email addresses listed, one for any application related inquiries that you'd like to address to the department, and one for any course related inquiries that you would like to address to the department. So please do make use of that if you do have any specific questions related to the individual courses. Now, we're also having open days from the 31st of October until the 13th of November. This will all be held online, but there will be so many different sessions available for you related to all of the different course areas that we have on offer. It's a way for you to come along and ask questions. Everything will be recorded, because I understand with the time zones, maybe it's not as easy to kind of access some of those sessions where it doesn't quite work out in terms of timing. Everything will be recorded, so I'd really encourage you to sign up for this if there is a particular course area that you are interested in to hear a little bit more. Also on the screen is a QR code. If you scan that, that will take you straight to the mailing list where you can kind of sign up to learn about any other opportunities that we have available. And there'll be kind of different sort of key bits of information shared with you as well throughout the year, and advice on kind of any events that we have running as well. So again, a really good sort of resource that we have available and really worthwhile kind of signing up to if you are kind of considering applying this year, or if you're considering applying in a couple of years' time. It's never too early to be doing kind of this level of research. So that's it for kind of the general sort of presentation side of things. On the screen there is my contact details. So if you have any questions after today, you can of course get in touch with me and I'll be more than happy to kind of answer those. So you're very welcome to contact me after today. So please, I'll put them in the chat as well, but please don't hesitate to kind of get in touch afterwards if there is anything that you'd like a little bit more guidance about. So I'd like to open the floor now to questions, and I can see that a few have already come in, and I think, Diane, you're going to help us through this next section.
Sure. Thanks. And that's a great presentation and so much information that we actually really want to listen and study for it. Okay, we got a couple questions right now, and please, and audience, please keep it coming. 大家如果有想到任何的问题，请赶紧的在我们 Q&A 的栏位里面打上来。好，那我们就先来进行现在目前已经有在问的同学的问题。Okay, first question, I guess is the student want to apply for the postgraduate course. Does the university, the student, if their subject in the university for undergraduate subject is relevant, is very important to apply for the University of Cambridge?
Yeah, so I think it kind of depends on what master's course you're looking at. So some of our courses are kind of designed for students who maybe sort of want to segue into slightly different things. Some of them, it's going to be much more closely related to your field of undergraduate study. If you have any concerns that maybe what you've done at undergraduate level isn't necessarily going to be appropriate for postgraduate level, I'd encourage you to get in touch with the department. They will be able to kind of talk through with you the kind of skills that you already have and be able to say, yes, you would be a good fit for this course, or no, actually this course is really designed for people who have this set of skills and this area of knowledge already. So I would say it really does depend on the course. I think for things where a high level of technical knowledge is required, so I'm thinking particularly for subjects that are related to the science areas, I think there is a general assumption that you will have studied something related in order to progress for those. For some of our master's courses, maybe like public policy or sustainability or something, Those I think are a little bit more disciplinary, and you may sort of be able to kind of segue into those from other subjects. So it's course dependent. Any queries, do you get in touch with the department?
Okay, thank you. Any add up from Dr. Wen?
I do think about something because if you are talking about the interdisciplinary kind of application, that's of course related to the subject. But sometimes it's like in biology, we still have very kind of categories for the subject or for the topics. So sometimes if your topics is what you are studying or is not really related to where you want to kind of get in, then you can try to raise kind of the skills you learn from your current or your past experience and relate that to your kind of potential or where you want to go. So that's also an approach you can do to kind of maximize your chance to get into which the department you want to get enrolled. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. 好，所以那我 summarize 一下，就是如果你想要知道，你就说更了解、更清楚的知道你的科系，你未来想要申请的科系到底是不是有需要你一定要相关科系的同学来申请的话，当然第一个就是直接先看学校的课程的介绍。那如果有更多的问题的话，你就直接跟你看到那个课程的介绍上面的指导教授，或者是有任何的联系可以 email 的方式，先去询问的清楚一点。说，哎，你想要申请这个科系，你现在是念这样子的科系，到底是不是需要必须需要是相关科系的同学才能够来申请相等等的。当然，像刚刚校代以及还有学姐都有讲到，就是如果是念科技的，或是甚至像生物化学、理化这些理工科的，当然可能相对的就是你需要有相关科系的同学才能够去申请未来想要念的这个剑桥大学的科系。好 ，Okay, next question I guess is something you didn't mention about is for the undergraduate, and this the audience is asking, is it possible for a request a language test waiver if the student is studying in a full-time taught entirely in English, and also he's also or she's also studying in the international high school in Taiwan?
Okay, so if this is for undergraduate level, your English is assessed throughout the admissions process. And if we feel that you need additional evidence of your English, then we will ask to see that. With postgraduate level, it's a little bit more complicated. So there are different criteria that you need to meet. Full details can be found on our website. It may well be that if you have not been studying in an English language institution for the 2 years prior to the commencement of your course, we will still ask to see evidence. But again, this is generally assessed on a case-by-case basis. What we encourage you to do, though, is to not register for a test or not pay for any English tests until you have received an offer of a place and you are clear on what the requirements of those are. These tests cost money. And actually, if you haven't been offered a place in the UK and you are not required to take these examinations, you've essentially wasted the money. So we do kind of strongly advise you to wait until you have any offers, and then you can register for the most appropriate tests for the institutions that you're trying to meet the offers for.
Thank you. So in that case, the student can actually just send in, submit their application form first, and then without maybe the language test.
Absolutely, it's fine to submit without, and then we will say, yes, you can come, but we would need to see evidence of English, and then you can go away and do the test. But as I say, because of the cost associated with taking these tests, we just encourage you to just wait until you have that offer so that you're not kind of wasting money unnecessarily.
Right. Yeah. So the audience is asking, even he has or she has studied in the university that's full-time and also taught entirely in English. So I guess
again, this would be looked at on a case-by-case basis, but not something to worry about at this stage.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next question is about the recommendation letter. And then you mentioned about for people or audience student who has been the working experiences and looking for the recommendation referees. And would you suggest who would they look for, or which person, or what kind of the person that they should look for the recommendation letter if they have working experience?
Absolutely. So generally it is typically somebody from your professional life. What I'm just trying to double check is what I want to just make sure is that I am giving you the correct information, because there is a link. So I'm just trying to find that for you. And of course, the one thing that I'm trying to look for, I can't find, but I know that it is available on the website for you. And it does kind of give you some, here we go. So I'm going to post this to you, Diane, in the chat, and then we can post that to the rest of the audience. But hopefully then you should be able to see that there. And so there is kind of usually guidance. So yeah, so it gives you an idea if you are currently studying, if you have actually, you know, graduated more than 3 years ago, it's a clear procedure that you should follow. So it will usually be somebody who can work with you, who's kind of knows you professionally. But obviously we know that at postgraduate level, a lot of people do come after a break. So we're completely used to assessing applications in this way.
Right, great, yeah, it's true. Okay, next question is about working experiences, including internship or full-time job. Does that maybe useful or helpful to maybe get the offer or funding? Would that be helpful?
I think it depends really on the course and what you're trying to do and how those skills are going to be relevant for postgraduate study. So if, for example, you're applying, you've been working in industry and you're maybe now going to do a PhD because you want to further your research in a certain area, then obviously talking about that in the application is going to be really useful. That doesn't mean, though, that we need to see it, because people come at PhDs or further study it from lots of different angles. So it certainly isn't a prerequisite of our courses. But for some of our master's courses, like actually having a bit of work experience and working in the area already may well be beneficial. If there's anybody thinking about something like an MBA, for example, that's the only course where we say, yeah, you have to have work experience to come, because that's kind of part of the process. So again, it does depend on what you're trying to study. But it isn't a case, it's kind of thinking about what that internship or the work experience is showing and how that is developing the skills that you're going to need for postgraduate study. We don't want it just for the sake of it. We do want it as relevant experience that's going to further your ability to succeed on the course that you're applying for, essentially.
Great, thanks. But instead, I extend that to Dr. Wen. So from your experiences, when you were applying for the University of Cambridge, what did you do on this part on the application form? Do you have any suggestion, or what was your experiences? Can you share with the student or audience here?
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, when I tried to apply for my PhD study, I already got the scholarship from the government. So that's a full funded scholarship. So that's kind of one of my base, but kind of academically, to show my expertise, I still try hard to kind of make the cover letter and the statement of proposal kind of specifically for each professor or each group leaders. So I didn't really apply to many labs. I just try to target the certain labs and try my give the best shot to each one. Yeah, I think kind of personalize the know what the professor wants, and also show your strengths, know yourself better. That will be then you will be able to make a good cover letter and your statement. Yeah.
Right. And also to show you are a very potential athlete or talented one, you know, as the University of Cambridge have to accept you as a good one, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay, next question. The audience would like to know what's the sort of the ratio for partially funded or the scholarship?
Yeah, really good question. I have to say I don't have that data off the top of my head. Obviously, we have, you know, as I said earlier, like 75% have some funding at PhD level. Quite what that amount is obviously will vary depending on the award that they have received, and about 25% of our master students have some sort of funding attached to them. You know, as we say, you have to apply for everything you're eligible for and apply early. That's the best advice that we can give you. And you know, that you kind of unfortunately do have to kind of let that sort of process run out, but we do encourage, we are happy for students to have multiple partial awards. But yeah, as I say, it's about 75% have some funding at PhD level and 25% have some funding at master's level.
Okay, thanks.
Next I do have a, can I have a, I also actually have a question about this one, because I get the government scholarship, but that's they claim that's a full scholarship, but because that's a fixed money for in the US dollars. So when they do the kind of exchange of currencies, kind of getting less. So I won't recognize it as a full scholarship in that sense. And nowadays, I think the one I apply is now getting less. And what the government claims is that they can kind of distribute the scholarship to more people with less money. So I wonder what's the chance for this student to get the extra money if they apply to the PhD study, what's the chance their supervisor will provide them kind of stipends in this case?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good question, and that's definitely true that obviously, you know, external bodies do have that dilemma. Can we support like fewer students for more, or do we support more students for slightly less? And it is a really hard decision to make. What we would say that if you are finding yourself in financial difficulty, that's when you need to contact your tutor at the college. So I talked a little bit about in the presentation how we have the college system does provide pastoral support and guidance. One of the things that they can help with is financial hardship. So if during your studies you are finding yourself unable to support yourself, then that is something that you can access. Similarly, there's nothing to stop you also. So yes, you may have the scholarship from the Taiwanese government, but equally you may also be awarded something else, as long as you can prove that you are not in possession of more than the total university composition fee and more than the total estimate of living costs. It's okay for you to take like another scholarship elsewhere. So as long as you're not as long as you can demonstrate that you are not receiving more money than you need from scholarship bodies, that's absolutely fine as well. But the first point of call really should be your college for any of those things. As a PhD student, you would also have the opportunity to often do things like supervisions for some of the colleges. It does depend on department and the subject, but that is often paid work. So there are kind of, whilst we don't, obviously you wouldn't have the capacity as a PhD student to take on like a full-time job or anything. There are kind of opportunities for you to sort of gain experience, and some of that will be paid work within the university as well. But you know, I completely agree that the exchange rate, particularly at the moment, is somewhat challenging in the UK. I'm sure lots of you will have seen in the news kind of the situation currently, and it's a little bit challenging. So I do appreciate that those are anxieties that students will have, bearing in mind that the conversion will naturally fluctuate year on year and at the moment day on day. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as far as I know, I know one of the alumni from the Cambridge University. He said he was searching for so many scholarship or funded or grants from the University of Cambridge website. So that was really helpful. So he was like telling all of other students in Taiwan, try to look into University of Cambridge website so you can find lots of funding or grants that you can apply. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess looking at the time, we are running out of time. So for the rest of the question, I'll try to answer on our Facebook because you didn't leave us your name, so I couldn't email you back. So okay, so once again, thanks to Olivia and also Dr. Wen for a great and detailed information about University of Cambridge. And then I hope we will have lots of students to apply and to be your 学弟学妹 in yeah,学弟学妹 in this coming year.
Welcome.
Yeah. So for the audience today, and thanks for attending for the University of Cambridge presentation. So next we will have the study in Flanders information later. So let's get back, maybe take 1 minute break. So we will come back at 7:45 and we will start the next presentation. Thanks again. So
that's great. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, Dan. Bye.
Bye. Bye for now.